good idea might be to compare that 2006 season to the 2024 season, see where there were similarities and where they unfortunately digressed in 2024 by
Absolutely.
going through those games. But before we do that, if you like this show, please hit that like and subscribe button. And of course, as always, we welcome your comments and your calls. We'd love to talk to you about Rutgers football. So, Gabe, going back to 2006, Rutgers starts off on the road against the Tar Heels of North Carolina, pulling out a 21-16 victory. Great start to the season for Rutgers. Definitely an upset victory.
Yeah, it was some real old school football. I mean, not everyone was getting 200 yards rushing in old school football, but it was handing the ball off to your elite running back, which in Ray Rice, he is elite. If CJ can do half of what he does, then we have a great running back to look forward to this season. So 200 yards rushing, not much passing, but we didn't need to pass much because we got 21 hard-earned points as opposed to 21 points in the first half and then, progressively getting worse in the second half. We got those the second, third, and fourth quarter. And then the defense obviously came to play. I said that we allowed 30 points in the first 4 weeks. We allowed 16 points in week 1. So 16 points is a great start when it comes to the defense, but it gets way sexier the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, that was a great victory on the road against the Tar Heels. And you can't have any discussion of 2006 without talking about Ray Rice.
No.
What a force he was that year. One of the elite running backs in college football, eventually going on to the NFL. And at the quarterback position was Mike Teal, a Don Bosco prep graduate. That year had a pretty good year, 12 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. But that offense and that wide receiver group was something was something that was very formidable. Now, Rutgers returns to Piscataway in week 2 against the Fighting Illini of Illinois. Now, when it comes to the Fighting Illini, in 2006, we had a 33-0 victory in Piscataway, but that does bring back memories of 2024, that fourth down that cost us the game. But like you said, 16 points in the first game, 0 in the second. So the Rutgers defense is starting to really take off.
Yeah, so you were talking about Mike Teal. 12 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. I mean, that's a lot of picks throughout a 13-game season. Not so many touchdowns. Obviously, when you have Ray Rice scoring 24 touchdowns and eliminating any goal or red zone passing touchdowns, it's going to be deflated a little bit. But I really think one guy who would have thrived on this team is Ethan, because it would have eliminated any mind games he has within himself, and he would have made the basic handoff, the basic check down pass to Kenny Brett or so on, and he would have excelled. Now, let me digress back onto topic here. 0 points against Illinois. Illinois has always had a great offense. That just shows how tough our defense was this game. We had 2 interceptions against them, 5 sacks, and a forced fumble recovery. So that's a total of 8 significant plays on defense. And you usually only get 1 or 2 per game. We got 8.
Absolutely. That defense was formidable. And against Illinois, a shutout. Now, if Ethan was on that team, I think it would have been a team that would have performed even better. But you mentioned something about Ethan, about that mindset that he's got to have. He's got to have that mindset this year where he avoids those mental errors, reducing those interceptions, and really can thrive when there's pressure put on him by those defensive lines.
Yeah.
Now,
that's true.
Gabe, next week we have a home game against the Ohio Bobcats. And those Ohio Bobcats, they always kind of confuse me because they're never a contender, but they're always a team that can upset you. Rutgers wins that game 24-7, but you'd think it would have been a bigger margin. What do you think about that game?
Now, one thing about Ohio that's always confused me is they're probably one of the rare examples, maybe Florida too, of a football team that is worse than the state college version of that named team. Going across the country, Kansas is the big bro to Kansas State. Kentucky's the big bro to Kentucky State. Those two examples, especially in basketball. Michigan, the big bro to Michigan State most years. Ohio was never the big brother to Ohio State. Ohio State was the dynasty, and Ohio was sort of the, no offense to my favorite baseball team, but sort of the New York Mets to their Yankees when it came to how other people perceive them. But you're right. They could have upset us that week. They didn't. 24-7, not total domination, but definitely a game where you were never concerned.
I agree. And we've got Ohio on the schedule this year. And I think, as you predicted, it's going to be closer than the experts think.
Absolutely.
Well, we go to week 4, and we've got a home game against Howard and a 56-7 victory. Howard University, very good academic school and up and coming in some areas in athletics, but just did not have the talent that Rutgers had, so it was an easy victory.
It was an easy victory. They also didn't have the same funding that they do now.
Correct?
Yeah, HBCUs, they're definitely getting a lot more funding because alumni that make it to the league or alumni that just make it in life are coming back and funding these schools, helping them academically and athletically. I believe we went over the schedule last week for 2026, and we play them in 2026. And that game will be a lot closer than 56-7. But going back to 06, 56-7 is just kind of what was expected. I mean, they're a lot more respected now, but back then, like, I don't take anything away from that team. They just weren't on the same level.